I would like to welcome everyone. Thank you for coming. This is Tales of the Dark Archivist. I work for the New Mexico State Record Center Archives, as Robert said. First, I would like to just let all of you know, which we always have to confirm as archivists, that we are not historians. Though over the years, we've developed quite a knowledge of the collections and in-depth knowledge of what we deal with or what our interests are, but by any means, I'm not a historian. My job is to protect and preserve historical records that are permanent and belong to the state of New Mexico. I've been with the New Mexico State Record Center and Archives for a few years, over a decade. And second, most of the materials that you'll see in my presentation are derived from exhibits that I've worked on over the years. Various exhibits that I've worked on, even if they per se weren't coming from the dark side, I always tended to find my way back to documents that were a little darker than others. So I wanted to just feature a few of those here today. Let's see here. I always did find my way to the darker side of history, which I love. And I also feature some items from other repositories which speak to the scope of New Mexico history. So you will see other records in this presentation that are not from the state archives, but somehow touched upon the collections that we have. I'm going to start off by reading a poem, Phantoms of Old Tombstone. This poem is by H.E. Wenck, and he was the artist and author of this book. I really liked it because he used cross-hatching, and he was a wonderful artist, and he actually wrote this poem that I thought was really good to read today. It was published and printed by Arizona Silhouettes, and as you all know, we have a lot of history with Arizona, and it was printed in 1951. Dedicated to the memory of Old Tombstone, to its illustrious past, and to that gun-toting breed of daredevils who thundered across the blood-stained pages of Arizona's early history. Book 1, Phantoms of Old Tombstone. The other day, while prowling around amid the crumbling walls of Tombstone Town, I came to a building of mud and lime with queer doorway and strange design. Above the entrance to this adobe shrine, on a weather-stained board of native pine that swung in the wind with ghostly laugh, I read these words, Tombstone Epitaph. On the floor inside, in a corner laid, inch deep beneath the grime of 5 decades, which the archives aren't like that, a pile of papers, news by the way, of a mining camp day by day. A ghost stepped out of that musty ream and cast me deep in the spell of a dream. I heard the roar of a 45. The past echoed back and came alive. The scuffing sound of booted feet, wagon wheels rumbled down an empty street. And the dust from bull teams hauling ore drifted lazily in through open door. I heard the shifter's warning meow when the stalls gave way and the ceiling fell. For the muckers caught there in no hope, only ghosts now worked the caved-in stove. I saw Wyatt Earp holding a mob at bay, and John Mingo from Red Dog Way. Old Man Clayton and Curly Bill riding in from Gallyville. I heard singing fiddles and swinging doors, saw painted women on barroom floors, satin slippers and cowboy boots, rusted silk and buckskin suits. That stage pulled in up Allen Street. 2 guards missing on the messenger's seat. Get this baggage off, the driver said. I gotta go back and pick up the dead. The Stranglers gave a party last night, dead men swinging in the early light. Sorry, I lost my dead men swinging in the early light. No jail in town to keep outlaws in, so they strung them up to a cottonwood limb. Death lay close to the winding trail when the only sound a coyote wail. And man's best friend, an old 6-gun, with smoke signals showed in the morning sun. A few scattered bones on drifting sand, an empty canteen in a fleshless hand. At the end of the day, when the west was new and the lure of gold the witches grew. Though the dark canyons night winds wail, silent men ride a narrow trail. Halt, a hail of lead, dead or alive, the warrant read. Across a red land of wild romance, dust devils whirl in fantastic dance. When law and outlaws rode their way down dim trails of yesterday, the dragoons sleep in pale moonlight, ghost teams on South Pass tonight. Adobe walls crumbling, dust to dust, Boot Hill and legend, Tombstone or bust. So here was actually taken from that book. And this is the type of drawing that the book has. It's a really excellent book. And I like this image because it has someone looking through papers, or what I would consider an archive, and a ghost coming out from the corner. So sometimes we really do believe our world is haunted if you ask anyone that works with us. It's kind of scary when the lights go off. So this is just a little bit of background information about our agency. For those of you, I'm sure many of you are familiar with us, but this is a little bit of background information about who we are and what we do. We're there, of course, to protect the records, preserve the records. These I passed out, or there's some handouts that will be passed out shortly. These slides will be in there, so this will just give you a little bit of an idea of what the Commission on Public Records does. We have a lot of state, for being a small agency, we have a lot of functions within state government, and we're, I think, the best repository that I've seen. So, just be me. I work for the Archives and Historical Services Division, and I have been with the agency for quite a long time. The primary reason people visit the archives are for these early period records, Spanish period, Mexican period. Are for the Spanish period, Mexican period, and territorial period documents. Spanish period, 1621 to 1821, Mexican period, 1821 to 46, and territorial, 1846 to right at statehood. These are some of the types of collections that we have here. This is our little bookworm. We do get a very interesting array of patrons that come into the archives. Scholars, families, organizations, associations, groups, clubs. These are the different kinds of private collections that we have. And just to give you an example of some of the types of private collections, we have like the New Mexico Jewish Historical Society collection, which you can find a variety of records there, but diaries and manuscripts. The Santa Fe Chamber Music Festival program has music programs. Alpha Delta Kappa organization, reports and minutes.